Hey, collectors. Welcome to the Hoardganize podcast. I am your host, professional organizer, Rachel Seavey, and today we are talking about hoarding during the pandemic. I've had multiple people reach out to me, good friends, past clients during this pandemic about hoarding and toilet paper hoarding and all the stockpiling and what's going on with that. I had a girlfriend who is really tidy and pretty minimalistic call me, and she was really concerned because she had purchased a 50-pound bag of rice, and she doesn't even usually cook rice, which is funny. And she had also purchased a bunch of dried goods and things that she's never bought in her entire life. And she felt like she was hanging on to all sorts of things and making her kids eat all of the food on their plate, like, rationing. And so she's really concerned that she's going to become a hoarder with all of these kind of anxiety producing things that are going on in the world. I mean, if you turn on the news on any station, it doesn't matter, what side you're on. If you turn on the news, you're going to see something about toilet paper hoarding and people stockpiling. If you go to the store, it's very likely that you're going to have some empty shelves there. And so one thing that we've all heard about is the toilet paper hoarding, and that there's a shortage of toilet paper. And this actually makes me really chuckle because I should know more than anyone as a hoarding expert that people have been hoarding toilet paper for a very long time, way longer than this pandemic has even been around. For years, I've taught this class during the summer about decluttering, and the very first question that I ask people as an icebreaker is, if you could have an unlimited supply of one thing in this entire world, what would it be? And for years, at least 75%, if not greater, of the people in the class have said toilet paper. And I just thought this was interesting because, I think money or jewels or love or wealth or success, I could think of a million of other things that I would want an abundance of. And toilet paper really isn't at the top of my list. But for some people, it has been at the top of their list for a really long time. So why do people hoard toilet paper? I have done a lot of research about this on the internet. There are so many different theories, and I'll share a few with you. I'll let you come to your own conclusion. Time magazine says that we're exceedingly social creatures and that we count on the community for our survival. People seen as unclean or unwell are at the risk of being shunned, which in the state of nature could mean death. We've gone beyond using leaves. It's about being clean and presentable and social and not smelling bad. So there's one theory where people, smelling bad basically equals shunning and death. So that's a very primitive thought. I mean, we do have 2 million-year-old brains, so I totally get that. Mental floss says that there's nothing intrinsically bad about scooping up toilet paper. It is, after all, a basic human necessity, and consumers are going to wind up using it eventually. But it's important to note that a perceived scarcity of Charmin is not a proof of global crisis. It's only proof that some people are taking an abundance of caution. If someone fears not being able to buy toilet paper, the apprehension can be remedied by buying a lot of it. It's one of the few things about the current health climate that consumers can control. So I get that. You feel like you're out of control. You can't control the government. You can't control the pandemic. But what you can control is having a bunch of toilet paper. So people do it to make themselves feel more comfortable, to feel safe and feel like they have some control over things. And then the Center for Disease Control and Prevention says stocking up on home essentials within reason, that's the key, is appropriate. But don't limit it to a garage full of toilet paper. Consider having a supply of hand soap, laundry detergent, cleaning supplies, food staples, and prescription medication. And bear in mind that such preparedness is advisable all year for any unforeseen circumstances, not just a growing pandemic. So they're actually suggesting that you stockpile things all throughout the year for any sort of a reason, which is kind of a prepper mentality, but it makes sense to me, especially within reason. If you listen to that part of the statement, within reason is the key. So whether you don't want to smell, or you want more control in your life, or you're afraid of scarcity, you're really not alone. I will actually share with you, which is just a little bit embarrassing, but I'll get over it because I'm always honest with you guys. I recently went to the store and started doing a little stockpiling myself, but it was for a completely different reason. And I'm sure there's a lot of us out there that don't want to go to the grocery store. We're supposed to stay safe and stay home. But right now, the grocery store, pardon my French, is a shit show. It really is. I mean, you've got people that are just so upset and they're just not know what they're doing. No one's paying attention. So there are a portion of us out there that are stockpiling a little bit more so that they don't have to deal with all of the extra drama at the grocery stores. I mean, I don't know what it's like. I'm here in the Bay Area, California, and I went to Safeway the other day and there was a line around the store. And so you had to wait and you had to distance your carts. It was really strange. And you had your gloves and your mask on, of course, because now we're required to wear a mask here when you go out to do your essential things. And so you're lining up to get into the store. And then when I finally got in there, I mean, people were just in a panic. And a lot of the shelves were indeed empty. I didn't get some of the things that I was looking for, which I'm totally fine with. I found other things to try. But people were just on high alert. And I really am sensitive to people's energy. So I went in there and it felt just so frantic to me. And there were these arrows that were on the ground that were telling you which way to walk through the aisles. And, the cashier, who I adore, is actually a friend of mine. She had a plastic barrier, a plexiglass thing so that, no one could sneeze on her. And it was just absolutely bizarre. It took way longer than I had expected. So I have decided to get a bunch of stuff, and that way that maybe I wouldn't have to go again in April. But one thing I did notice, and I did go through the toilet paper aisle, and there was toilet paper, although it was almost gone. I noticed that every single other person in the grocery store had their maximum limit of toilet paper in their cart. Like every single person I looked at had toilet paper in their cart. And it made me think oh my gosh, should I get some toilet paper? I felt like I was missing out. I had a little bit of FOMO. And I thought to myself, Rachel, you have enough toilet paper. I truly do have enough toilet paper in my house. I guess I'm blessed or lucky. I don't know, but I actually do have enough toilet paper in my house. So I decided that I would not get any. And I'm actually really happy that I didn't get any because toilet paper is really bulky. And that's where I'll get into my next discussion. And it's something that I like to stress when you don't know how to organize very well, is to use a visual threshold. I have a whole podcast on it if you want to hear more about it. I think it's called Visual Threshold. But I actually have a visual threshold. I have a certain space just for toilet paper. It's in my medicine/utility cabinet. It's at the very bottom shelf. It's about 2 feet by 2 feet. So it's a really good space. And I probably could fit, if I really crammed them in, maybe 40 rolls of toilet paper. And I probably have half of that right now, but there's just 2 of us here. So we really don't go through it as quickly as you think we would. And I have this visual threshold. And so, I know because I've checked to see how much toilet paper I have. And I like to check to see what I need before I go grocery shopping. And I thought to myself, I really don't need any extra toilet paper. And it's so bulky that the overflow would either, creep out. And I don't know where it would go because I just haven't allocated space for massive amounts of toilet paper in my house. So no, it's not going to get prime real estate. It's not going to sit on the floor so I could trip on it. If I don't need it, I'm not going to get it. And that goes with, everything that I was getting. If you use it, then it's not really hoarding. Like, for instance, I got a lot of extra food, but I'm cooking breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so I really am going to use all this extra food. But some of us out there are stockpiling even when we're not used to it, just to avoid the grocery store. And you definitely want to use a visual threshold for things. You know, how many cleaning supplies do you need? If they all fit just under the sink, maybe in your kitchen, then that's all you need. You don't need to have some overflow or abundance, because then it starts creeping into your space. It starts getting prime real estate. Your house starts feeling really cluttered if you got 6 or 7 Lysol sprays up on your counter, just for example. So my advice for all of the panic buying and the anxiety and the depression right now is something that I say for a lot of things. And if you've listened to my show for a while, you won't be surprised when I say it's perfect time to trade expectation for appreciation. Instead of expecting the pandemic to go one way or the other, or the government to do this or that, let's start appreciating what we can out of this pandemic. You've got to make lemonade out of lemons. You've got to find in any situation, good or bad, things that you are grateful for and that you're appreciative of. And instead of worrying what you can't control and being afraid of what you can't control, start thinking about things that you can control. What we think about, we bring about. What we focus on, we feel. So if we're focused on this panic and hysteria and watching the media and freaking ourselves out, then we're going to feel freaked out. If we're focused on all of the deaths and the sadness that's going on, we're going to feel sad. And I promise you, that's not going to help anything. It's not going to help the pandemic. It's not going to make the government change any choice. The only thing it's going to do is make you feel like crap. So you really want to start thinking about the things that you're grateful for right now. If you have a roof over your head right now during this pandemic, that's absolutely something to be grateful for. If you have, family that you're around, even if they're driving you nuts right now because you're spending 24 hours a day together, be grateful that you have this time in your life. A lot of us don't have this time. We're so busy with work and with school and with this and aftercare and sports and driving and traffic that we don't get this time to exclusively bond with our family members. I'm very appreciative of being able to have a backyard. I know a lot of people are stuck in their apartments and they don't really have a place to chill. So try and think about the things that you're appreciative of. What are you grateful for? Trade your expectation and your fear and anxiety into gratitude. Trade it for appreciation. I can really appreciate living in California. I mean, there's absolutely beautiful weather here. I've grown incredibly close with my son now that we're spending time together. I've exercised more. I'm eating healthier. I mean, whatever it is for you, start shifting your focus from expectation to appreciation, and abundance will appear. And if what we focus on, we feel, then let's focus on things that make us happy. Doesn't it feel good to feel happy? And there's no reason to feel guilty about being happy. Yes, we're in a world catastrophe, but listen, it's okay to be happy during a world pandemic. It's okay to shift focus onto things that are more positive. No, we're not downplaying the severity of what's going on, but this is for your mental health, and your mental health will also lead to your physical health. If you're constantly stressed out and you're constantly worried and you're constantly sad, that will suppress your immune system. And we really need healthy immune systems to fight this coronavirus right now. All of that stress and all of that worry is really just putting a damper on your immune system. So again, I'll let you know it's okay to be happy during a world pandemic. And how do you do that? Well, there are so many opportunities right now that you haven't been able to take advantage of. For instance, there are Ivy League colleges that are giving out classes for free. I've decided to pick up a class, and I'm super excited about taking a psychology class from Yale. It's just for fun, but why not? I have a lot of extra time on my hands. I've been coaching a lot more. Thank you to the people that have signed up for my coaching. I really appreciate you. I'm having a great time getting to know you. And I'm spending more time outside. I'm gardening. I just ordered 2 tomato plants and 2 jalapeno plants and 2 artichoke plants. I've done a bunch of face masks. I'm doing my nails. I'm doing my toes. I'm doing my hair. I mean, I'm trying to do things that are good for me, that are making me happy. And that's definitely something that you want to focus on. What can you do that makes you happy? Have you always wanted to take a class? Well, right now is the time. Have you ever wanted to learn something? Go on YouTube and learn it. Have you ever just wanted to, lay outside and enjoy your backyard because you're always working all the time? Then now is the time to do it. You definitely want to trade expectation for appreciation. And as I said, abundance will appear. When you're happy, your physical health is happy, your mental health is happy, the people that you're around can feel and share your happiness. So definitely keep in mind that what we focus on, we feel. And if we're focusing on bad things, we feel bad. And if we're focusing on good things, we feel good. And it's okay to feel good during a world pandemic. It's actually really healthy for you to try and be good to yourself and extra good to yourself at this time. So don't feel selfish. You are nurturing yourself and you're nurturing your soul. And I know this is a really scary time for a lot of us, but suffering is not going to help. Anxiety, depression, they are going to suppress your immune system right now. So you've got to do what's best for yourself and for others right now. So the bottom line is stop worrying about toilet paper and lockdowns and start appreciating all the gifts that you have from being at home all the time. Maybe you're always used to being stressed at work and now you don't have your boss breathing down your neck. Whatever it is, try and find 3 things that you're grateful for during this pandemic. And if you're over shopping and you're worried about being a hoarder, like I was talking about in the beginning of the episode, stop expecting so much out of yourself. This is an unprecedented time. Give yourself a break. There's a lot of us, including myself, that are buying extra things for many different reasons. So right now isn't the time to feel bad and worry if you're a hoarder. You're going to want to use your visual thresholds, which means the space that you've allocated for your certain items. And once that's full, you really don't need any more. There isn't a shortage in the supply chain. Things are going to work out. You're going to survive. It's not the end of the world. And, don't have food and supplies all over the place because you could trip, you could fall, you could hurt yourself. It becomes a fire trap. There's so many different reasons why you don't need to hoard essential supplies. But there are very many reasons why people are doing that. So don't be especially hard on yourself during hard times like now. This is the worst time to go to the hospital, though. So please, please don't have a bunch of toilet paper because I know I've been to you guys' house, okay? Don't have all of your Amazon products right in your hallway so you can't even get out of the front door. You really try and use your visual threshold as much as possible, even though there's a lot of temptation to hoard right now. And I had one more thing that I want to point out. If you do have these stockpiles of things in your hallway and all over your kitchen floor and on your kitchen cabinets, no worries, no judgment, been there, seen it, done that. What you're going to actually want to do is not buy anything. I mean, for all the hoarders out there that are hoarding toilet paper and cleaning supplies and have been doing so for decades, I mean, this has to be a little bit satisfying. Here you are, you've been hoarding all this stuff just in case. Well, right now is the just in case. We are in the middle of a world pandemic. People are feeling scarce right now. And you, my dearies, are ahead of the curve. You've got all of this stuff that people are, would kill over right now. People are fighting over it in the stores. So if you've got stockpiles of toilet paper, it is absolutely time to start using those stockpiles. If you have stockpiles of canned goods, which I know a lot of you do have, It's time to open up. I know you've been saving cans since 2001. It's time to open them up and gobble them down. I mean, you have been prepared for a disaster for decades, and the disaster is here. So it's actually a good thing. I mean, you can actually use all of that stuff that you've been hoarding. And while you're using all that stuff that you're hoarding, you're actually inadvertently and positively making space in your home. You're using the toilet paper and it's no longer in your hallway. You're using that hand sanitizer and it's decluttering your countertops. Whatever you can do to use up the hordes of things that you've been hoarding. I mean, there is absolutely no better time to be a hoarder than during a pandemic. Am I right? I mean, you have stockpiles of everything. So it's actually a great time. Start using your stuff. Before you know it, you'll be making room and without any effort, because you'll be using the stuff that's taking up all of the space in your house. And I'm not being sarcastic. I'm actually being real right now. If you are hoarding a bunch of stuff for what if you need it one day, today is the day. This is the time. We are in a global pandemic. We might not ever be in one ever again. I mean, this is the time to own your hoarding and to go through all your stuff and to actually make room in your house. If you are listening to this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed, click that thumbs up button, and turn your notifications on. You can also follow me on Instagram under Collector Care 1, on Facebook under Collector Care. And if you need a jump start and you're decluttering, if you don't know where to start, or if you have just one question that you really wanted to ask me, I am offering coaching 50% off for the rest of the month. It's a great deal. You can go to collectorcare.com and fill out one of my intake forms, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. And I will answer any questions, or I will help you get a decluttering plan together. Until next time, collectors, and remember, happiness is a place between too little and too much.